I Googled some family members of a family. The family went to a different school than mine, but they were essentially in the same town, but they were like the perfect family, right? Bunch of good looking girls, athletic guys. Dad was a doctor, wife was a homemaker. This is in the 80s when I graduated high school in 1986, but the mother died, I believe in 2015, and the father died in 2020, and he had a real good picture on the obituary. And so they had like 7 kids, 4 girls and 3 boys. Perfect family. But it's interesting because when they mention the kids, there's like 20 some grandchildren as well. But everything about that family was kind of like the right way. And so like every single one of those children were married, had multiple children of their own, and it's just unbelievably. It's like predictable. It's so predictable. And I looked up another family, same situation. This was a huge family too. The dad was an attorney, the mother was a homemaker, same town as mine. They had about 7 kids as well. Same thing. I think they had 4 girls and 3 boys there. And so father attorney, wife homemaker, like I said, and just a really good family. And what do you know, on the obituary of either the mother or the father, I can't remember on this one, but all of the children were members of the community, oftentimes in other states, and they were all married and they all had kids of their own, and so there were a million grandchildren there as well. So when you look at some people that I grew up with as well, the ones that had like a single parent or some divorce in the family, and just the ones with a little bit more of a non-traditional upbringing, well, they don't have all that stuff, you know what I mean? Even if there are multiple kids in that family, it's just crazy, and it's a little bit sad how predictable it is. Like all these kids, so there were 7 children from the one family where the dad was a doctor. I think he was a radiologist, and there were 7 children from the other family where the dad was an attorney. And they just all breeze through life, where they marry the people you'd expect them to marry, and they have kids, and everything's great, and they have the big family gatherings, and you see the photos, and there's like 40 people there. And it's interesting, and it's a bit sad because are they in control of their lives? Like, if any person from a broken family was born into that family, they'd have the just the momentum and the wind at their back as well. And it's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I'm a little bit of a loner myself, but I see all this stuff happening. It's predictable. I remember when Scalia, the loudmouth Supreme Court justice, conservative justice, a lot of people really didn't like him. He was just a little bit abrasive, to say the least. And so he died in 2015. And so, you look up in his obituary, he had like 9 children. So this was like a very aggressive, boisterous guy, Roman Catholic, I guess, or whatever, but conservative, a real originalist, a textualist as far as the Constitution went. And so every single one of those kids, he had like 9 children, They were all conservative, either conservative attorneys, conservative think tanks, every single stupid thing that you would expect if you were one of 9 children, born to Antonin is actually his first name, Antonin Scalia. And there were no Waltz garages on that in those children, no carpenters, no lawn care guys, no insurance agents. They were exactly what you would expect. So like, how much control does anyone ever have in the world when these things are so predictable? It's just going to play out like it has to play out almost all of the time. The way it should play out is the way it has to play out. Another guy, his dad's an insurance agent, and they had, from my hometown, community guy, really good guy too. And so I went to school with his brother, but the other kid's younger, and so the other kid takes over the insurance agency. And this was another good family. They had like 3 or 4 kids. I think they had 4, 2 boys and 2 girls, and all the boys and all the girls have traditional families and easy street living. You know what I mean? Just daddy's home. You come home, everything's good. And the other guy whose dad, was a bookie, or his dad owned a restaurant and was divorced and just kind of like a little bit of more of a ragged edge. His life is not so traditional as those. Obviously, he's in another country doing some would call shady, but it's not too shady stuff in the gambling world. But it all makes sense in the end, and you wonder how much control you really have, and these things just play out over and over and over. Like all these, from the first 2 families I talked about, all their significant others, their wives and husbands, were kind of exactly who you would expect them to be, knowing the history of that family. And so it's pretty fascinating.